had the tears, and then my family said, go get back to work. And obviously, like everyone, when you lose a loved one, you're trying to figure out what does it mean. And for me, I was trying to figure out how do I maintain a relationship with my father spiritually, even though physically he's no longer here. And it hit me one night. I didn't come up with it. I think it came from up above. I said, well, you keep his spirit alive, man. He's just got to just keep living. And so that's where I was like, okay, well, there it is. I've lost him physically, but I still spiritually have a connection with him, and I can talk to him anytime I want. And that's where Just Keep Living came from. So from there, I started saying, well, what does Just Keep Living apply to? And I have still not found one thing in the world that Just Keep Living is not applicable to. I put it on. I mean, as far as mottos, at that time, I put on everywhere. T-shirts, dog bowls, wristbands, everywhere. I was like, it works anywhere, anytime. What's the Just Keep Living choice? You can always ask that. And really what it is the choice that pays you back. It's the choice that gives you residuals. It's the choice that's going to buy you more green lights tomorrow.
Round of applause right there. And I love what you talk about, it's better to prevent than to have to cure later. Right. Would you expand what that means?
Well, again, when you're looking at so many places that the world needs our time and our donations and help, there are spots where we need to give time and money for the cure. For me, I just want to make sure, and that's why I went to high school kids, to go to a place where let's prevent before we have to cure. Let's create and teach some self-reliance before we make the cure. Let's arm some children that do not have the people around them to define the right choices to make in life. Let's equip them with the means of going about the world to make those choices that will help them prevent pain down the road or loss, or as I said earlier, going to jail or worse, which a lot of these kids face that.
Your big word is action. It's all about the action and the law of attraction, right? You got to think and feel it, but ultimately you got to take action. Yeah. You're an action taker, and you also show up. Now, a lot of celebrities sometimes phone it in or send a proxy, but you actually show up on site and are part and engaged in what you do. Why is that?
Well, look, and I also think I could do more, and I know I can. I know there's more I need to do. I don't feel like I'm doing enough, but it is important for myself and my wife to go to these locations to get some form of relationship with these children, to get some form of relationship with these teachers on the ground, to see if what's happening in the class is actually what we set out to do. If we are meeting up, if we're putting a mirror up to our mission statement and we're seeing results. Man, it just feels good to go. It just feels good.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, you talked about gratitude up there, and I know gratitude is a huge thing.
Yeah.
What is the biggest thing that you're grateful for right now?
The biggest thing I'm grateful for right now in my life?
Yeah.
3 healthy children, a wife who doesn't want to change me. Thank you very much. I mean, that's something to be thankful for, right? And again, like tonight, we're on the way to the Oscars, we both looked at each other like, man, nobody else would rather do it with.
That's a beautiful answer. That's great. Now, what do you recommend to someone who hasn't quite found their calling yet? There's a burning something inside, but they haven't really taken the actionable steps. What would you recommend?
Well, look, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I got out of high school. I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I got out of college. I sometimes still am not quite sure what I want to do. Serious. So for me, you get a lot of pressure. A lot of people get pressure and put pressure on themselves. Like, I need to know what I need. I need to know what I got to do. And I still to this day sometimes don't know what I want to do, but I found it easier to define what do I not want to do. And by process of elimination, clear out a lot of the crud, places, people, things, and all of a sudden I'm presented with just much fewer options in front of me, and maybe 2 out of 3 of them I'm going like, this is something I want to do. But I didn't get there by knowing what I wanted to do. I got there by clearing things out of the way that I'm like, no, that doesn't pay me back. That's not giving me residuals. That's not giving me green lights. That's not bringing me pleasure. That's not giving me gratification or satisfaction. Clear those out, and then you kind of end up with things that you do want to do. Now, I will say this, there's a I'm not the biggest fan of that that phrase. Well, just if you dream it, you can do it. Just do what you love. I mean, let's be honest. If we only did what we loved, there'd be a lot of broke people. Right? But I'm with it. But if you can't do what you love, stop and go, well, what am I good at? Because we don't always love what we're good at. But if we do what we're good at, we start to really, it feels good that, oh man, I like being good at something. So I'm forming the habit of doing it over and over and over again. And you can learn to love something that you're good at. So, you know, I think it's a mix of innate abilities, we all have different innate abilities, as well as having a dream and saying, am I good at this, or what are the steps I need to take to get there?
Very nice. Round of applause. Very, very good. I'd like to flip action on its heels a little bit and look at the antithesis of that. Sometimes a non-action is still an actionable step, meaning
yes.
The fact of the matter is you didn't take every single job that was thrown at you, or if one didn't go your way, you looked at it as a positive, right?
Well, I've definitely, you know, I'm pretty quick, this is my approach to that, is I'm pretty quick when faced with the inevitable to get relative. And I think that's a real good thing for all of us to go ahead and be. I mean, like, we've all stepped in shit, and how quickly do you go, hey, this is my upfall, not my downfall. Oh, this is good luck. Hey, that bird crap dummy, I know it's good luck. What? Trust me. Because it's already happened, so we might as well look at it as an upfall. You know, I'm pretty quick to find the optimistic look at something and say, how do I deal with my present circumstances? They are maybe not ideal or how I saw it happen, which most stuff doesn't go down. I just think it's going to happen. But how quickly do we get relative and say, I'm going to adapt to this situation and make the best of it? You know, if you're going to do it, if you got to, you know, so many times I hear people like, oh, I don't want to be here, I don't want to do this. I'm like, well, then why are you here? Well, once we're here, you might as well find a way to do it with pleasure, even if it's not the ideal thing you want to be doing.
What's a green light? You said it like 5 times.
A green light. What's a green light? Green light's when you're in the, you know, green light's when you make a decision right now. I want to, you know, there are many decisions we want to make for instant gratification. And that's why I'm for it. I do it all the time. But there are many times we go, wait a minute, if I do this now, I'm going to have a proverbial hangover tomorrow. I'm going to have a debit tomorrow. If I lie about this now, if I cheat and steal on this, I have now brought myself, I've got rid of green lights in the future. What I mean is, now, if you lie, cheat, and steal, you're leaving crumbs in your life. Meaning, we then go out into the world and walk into a room and see that person that we lied, cheated, or stole from. And now, we're putting ourselves under unnecessary stress because we're dodging that person. We lose freedom. You're creating, if you're not making decisions that create green lights, you're creating decisions that are going to make you look over your shoulder. And looking over your shoulder sucks. And it causes stress, and it takes away your time.
Beautiful. Now, your foundation, you're growing, you're thriving. What do you see in the future?
I see in the future.
Crystal ball it, right here.
Well, crystal ball it, we're going to keep expanding through the United States. And then the goal is we're finding out that our same curriculum is needed and can be necessary internationally. And so that would be in time. That's where I see it being, is platforming this out and scaling our program out across borders.
Round of applause right there. You talk about sometimes a no or a challenge can be a life lesson. You know, you can learn something from it. How do you have that mentality where something can seem so chaotic, but you can see the good in it?
Well, I mean, it's touchy, because if you see the good in it too quickly, you're foolish. You know? It's like if you just turn around and go, oh no, it's okay. Whatever happens, happens. I'm going with it. Well, no, I'm not a fatalist like that. I do believe we need to have our hands on the wheel, you know, that we're driving. And a lot of times I've gotten many things we get things by pure persistence, because we're not taking no for an answer. But there's other times where you go, I am banging my head on this situation and I'm getting nowhere. And I keep banging my head, so I need to either back up and find a way to maybe, oh, I'm going to dance around this problem and get to the other side. Or just go, I'm in the wrong place, man. Okay, you in that one. I'm not spending any more time with you. You know, once shame on you, twice shame on me.
Right.
You know, I mean, sometimes we learn to dance around a problem, and other times we just look at it and go, I'm in the wrong place. This is too consistently too hard, and I'm not getting anything back from it. I need to rearrange and reapproach it and pick something else I can do.
Adaptability, flexibility is the key to everything, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to end with this, our time together. I always ask every person I interview their favorite quote, mantra, something that they live their life by. Do you have one that's, you know, like every day or?
Well, my everyday is just keep living. But, I mean, I've heard some great advice.
You should name a foundation after that.
Hey, man, that's a good idea. Just keep living foundation. Well, I mean, man, there's a bunch, but I remember this one, that a friend of mine in college, his grandfather was about 96, sitting on the porch in Alabama, and he got back from spring break where he'd spent the time with his grandfather, and we were sitting up one night, and he goes, you know what my granddaddy told me? Because I mean, he was going through some problems and things in his life, and you know, really just getting heavy in the head about it. And he says, grandfather looked over at me and he goes, Monty, I've had many hundreds of crises in my life. And most of them never happened.
Matthew McConaughey.
Too hard, and I'm not getting anything back from it. I need to rearrange and reapproach it and pick something else I can do.
Adaptability, flexibility is the key to everything, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to end with this, our time together. I always ask every person I interview their favorite quote, mantra, something that they live their life by. Do you have one that's, you know, like every day or?
Well, my everyday is just keep living. But, I mean, I've heard some great advice.
You should name a foundation after that.
Hey, man, that's a good idea. Just keep living foundation. Well, I mean, man, there's a bunch, but I remember this one, that a friend of mine in college, his grandfather was about 96, sitting on the porch in Alabama, and he got back from spring break where he'd spent the time with his grandfather, and we were sitting up one night, and he goes, you know what my granddaddy told me? Because I mean, he was going through some problems and things in his life, and you know, really just getting heavy in the head about it. And he says, grandfather looked over at me and he goes, Monty, I've had many hundreds of crises in my life, and most of them never happened.